Yeah, hi guys. I'm going to talk about plastic pollution and marine debris. I am representing an organisation or a coalition called the Eastern and Southern Plastics Coalition, the ESPC for short. I actually work for a consultancy called Eunomia, and we're funded by, well, we're co-funded by RWE, the wind farm developer, Southern Water and Anglian Water, and to act as secretariat for this coalition. And basically, the overall aim is to bring together like-minded partners and work on reducing plastic pollution in the region, in the east and south of England. And so we were formed quite a few years ago, but we're currently, acting as the marine and plastics pollution community of practice today for you guys. So yeah, a bit of brief history. Originally just the EPC, East of England Plastics Coalition, became the ESPC in 2025. We have two working groups. The marine debris working group, which is obviously of relevance today, and also an unflushables working group, which is not relevant today, but is aiming to reduce improperly flushed items. Yes. And then we have 4 working group meetings per year, so 8 in total. That's for each working group. And basically the purpose is networking and information exchange, hosting speakers, as well as project initiation and coordination. That's what I'm going to talk a little bit more about today, as well as the plastic beach clean data. We also have one wider coalition meeting a year, which is a half-day event, also online, where we host lots of different speakers on various topics. So the Marine Debris Working Group was initiated 5 years ago, and we aim to facilitate the removal of plastic debris from the marine environment and provide sustainable end-of-life pathways for them. Also to prevent items from entering its source, and as I said earlier, hearing from expert speakers and acting as a knowledge platform. So here are some of the partner organisations, many of you are here from today. So we've got Whale and Dolphin Conservation, MCS, Keep It Tidy, Lincolnshire Wildlife Trust, the Wash and Norfolk Marine Partnership, Eastern IFCA, Marine Conservation, Norfolk Action Group, many others. So just going to start with some beach clean data, and so this, what she doesn't actually say, my bad, is this is just specifically for Gibraltar Point, and this data was kindly provided to us by Lincolnshire Wildlife Trust, and you can see that in 2018 that was the highest litter count of over 800 kilos of litter removed, and I think 2020 the lowest there. I think some of the years impacted by weather and therefore the ability of beach cleaning teams to get out there. The plastic pollution one, ignore that. I think that was, I realised subsequently that's because they discontinued the collection of plastic proportion, so ignore that one, it is far too low. I really just draw attention to the nurdles there, collected this year. And that's a result of, as you've heard earlier, the cargo ship collision with the All-Sea tanker that happened in 2025. So a huge amount of nurdles removed, over 16 tonnes. A lot of that, I think, clumped up as burnt material. And yeah, I think that doesn't account for everything. There's still nurdles being washed up. And there's a lot being buried at the lower tide point as well, I understand. This is more data for the Yorkshire Wildlife Trust have provided for the whole region underneath the Waves of Waves beach cleans. So they ran 51 beach clean events in 2025, carried out 82 litter surveys, 42 miles of the Yorkshire coastline, over 700 people attending, and 376 bags of litter removed. You can see the top 5 items. Removed unidentified plastic and polystyrene, cigarette stubs and filters at number 2, 3 plastic food packets and wrappers, 4 lobster pots, and 5 string cord and rope. And I'll move on to MCS data. Just before I do, it's very difficult to combine all these different data sets because they're using different frameworks for reporting and collecting the data. So this obviously makes combining it together more challenging, so often you have to, report on it like this. It's not actually really what the ESPC are doing. We're not really up there to quantify the data, but obviously it's an important part of ESPC, so this is what we're doing today. So here you can see this is for the entire ESPC area. So you can see in 2025, 753 kilos of litter removed with over 1,000 volunteers taking part. And you can see a similarity with the top 5 items found in the last slide in Lincolnshire, but also different. So you've got plastic polystyrene pieces, packets, plastic caps and lids, string cord, and containing some food. And you can see that 83% is plastic, which is interesting, and of that, of the entire thing, 11% was fishing and agriculture litter. So quite a high proportion. Some areas, I think, of the country have seen a lot higher. I think up in Scotland, some beaches have seen like 30 to 40%, so it's quite variable. And so now moving on to some of the ESPC projects. This is some of our historic projects. So in 2022, quite a few years ago, we held collaborative workshops funded by the EA with fishers and interested parties to get a better idea of quantities and solutions to plastic litter in the region, specifically in the Norfolk and Suffolk region. In 2022, off the back of that, we were funded by Natural England to run a pilot project for recording and collecting beach clean litter. And so we had over a 6-week timeline, 10 collection points along the Norfolk coast, and we collected over 400 kilos of rope and plastic pots and buoys, etc. We've also, in the past, sourced WWF funding for a pot tagging scheme run by IFCA, which you might have heard recently something on. And this is for material and technology trials as part of a feasibility study to inform the regulatory bylaw for the Cromer Shoals MCZ and fishing taking place within that. And then we've also funded, through our sponsor RWE, funded the expansion of Norfolk Beach Clean and Keep Britain Tidy beach cleaning teams, providing training to beach cleaners and providing equipment to them. And then moving on, this is the kind of the past year or so. One of our main outputs, one of our best outputs, and as Secretariat we've acted really as facilitator for this, bringing together all the relevant parties. And what this is basically days, or it's actually a couple of weeks, events that we're hosting in different areas of Norfolk and Suffolk so far, where basically fishers are invited to come and deposit any end-of-life gear that they might have. It might be, lying in their storage yards or wherever it might be, and then we can provide an end-of-life solution for this. We take it away and have it recycled, or if it can't be recycled, take it to landfill. But basically, the ultimate aim of this is to improve source control as well as support the local fishing community. Obviously, we're not saying that fishers are, are going out there and chucking all their gear overboard. I'm not saying that, but if you can provide a viable end-of-life solution for waste that is classed as commercial waste and therefore they can't really very easily get rid of it themselves, hopefully we are going to improve source control and reduce instances of ADLFG. So it's been quite successful so far. We've got KBT on the ground who are really spearheading that delivery, headed by Neil Hembrough of their Ocean Recovery Scheme. And also IFCA supported with delivering, sponsored by RWE as part of their, interestingly, as part of their benefit compensatory measures for the wind farms that they're developing off the Norfolk coast. And then ourselves acting as a facilitating role, bringing together partners, and then also responsible for reporting, which RWE need for Secretary of State. So to date we've had 3 events held in 2025 and 2026 in Lowestoft, Southwold and Kings Lynn, and there's one further event planned for 2026, most likely in Kings Lynn again because of the success of that event, probably in October. And on the left-hand side, you can see, or your right-hand side, some posters that we knocked up to help advertise the event to the local fishing communities. There's England, South Florida, I believe. So just some data from it. You can see that, so Lowestoft, 1,214 kilos recycled, 1,286 sent to landfill, Southwold, a little over a tonne recycled, and 350 kilos sent to landfill. And in Kingsland, the most successful to date, over 3 tonnes recycled and 1,666 kilos sent to landfill. So a total of over 5 tonnes recycled and over 3 tonnes sent to landfill. And generally the material can be divided up into rope, rigid plastics, nets, pots. And also in Kingsland there was a fisherman's swap scheme where fishermen could take in their material that they didn't want or need, but wasn't necessarily broken or was not beyond repair, and other interested fishermen who might have a need for that took that on. So quite a nice circularity scheme without even needing to go anywhere beyond the harbour. Material types and encounter complications. So nets primarily sorted into PA6 nylon, that's the monofilament nets, and HDPE, that's the trawl nets. And whilst HDPE is very recyclable, it often comes heavily contaminated. One of these being PET string, which is used in nets for added strength and grip. Nylon is more versatile and valuable, also comes with some difficulties. And the net is recycled by a company called Millspeed in the Cotswolds, which I think is the only one of its kind, or one of 2 in the whole of the UK that are able to recycle nets in this way at scale. Also, there's the Waves and Waste scheme, which is quite a nice circular example, where some recycled pellets from Millspeed are made into durable bodyboards for recreational use. Each board containing approximately 50% of HDPE net, and these are much better than the kind of cheap plastic or foam ones you might get at the beach, which easily snap and then become pollution themselves. There's an example there on the screen. The rope is another rigid plastics are taken by my group, a recycler based out of Hull. These gear types are particularly challenging the process by conventional means and are not particularly economical, but just about work out. And they can be melted down and transformed into a product called MyBoard, like a kind of composite sheet which is used in construction, DIY, things like that. And the pots, they were unrecyclable. They went to landfill for Lowestoft and Southwold, and only became recyclable in Kings Lynn, where a suitable recycler was found. Obviously, as I think Andy said earlier, lobster and crab being the main fishery here, there's going to be a huge amount of pots. So there's a challenge here because pots are harder to recycle generally. There's a lot of work that needs to happen, manual work to make them, get them into state where they are, and that compares to somewhere like the south coast, where there's a lot more nets and rope, well, not necessarily rope, but more nets, which currently have more of a simple end-of-life solution. Though there is still a lot of manual work to be done before they're ready for processing. So post-event promotion. It was, so all their outputs were advertised and the success promoted on organisations' Facebook, LinkedIn pages and relevant organisations' websites. The Lowestoft and Southwold events were promoted on local radio station Suffolk Sounds, and fishermen who engaged with the event were gifted this fisherman's knife made by Waterhall, which is, the handle's made from recycled net, so another just like a nice add-on there. Some of the lessons that have been learned to date: holding the event during the fishing season reduced the availability of gear and participation. Winter events in that sense may be preferable, but also bring issues themselves. So, for example, in Southwold, it's very near the harbours where we're preparing the material, and had to contend with the storm Amy, which was like blowing some of the gear into the sea and things like that. So, yeah. Another lesson is that monofilament net is extremely time-consuming to prepare, reducing throughput, and it's a similar case for pods, as I mentioned earlier. These are some of the photos you can see from various events. You can see a big Arctic there, not Arctic, what's it called, telehandler with all the net, showing the amount of work that needs to go in sometimes to disentangle all of that and get it into a state that's ready for recycling. So yeah, that's a massive thanks to Neil Hembrough of Keep Britain Tidy and his team for spearheading that. So yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, if you're interested in joining the ESPC, either as an organisation or as an individual, your organisation might already be represented in some extent, or might have dropped off or whatever, but want to be there, just shoot me an email. If you just want to know more about the work, likewise, or if you want to know more about Eunomia, we're a pretty broad spectrum environmental research consulting company, and yeah, do things across the marine environment generally. So yeah, that's it.